The coolest entrepreneurs in the world that became leaders of companies solved for something simple and made that happen.
Tech Summit 2018, this is the second year. As you guys are aware, this is a 13-year initiative. So we're doing this every single year till 2030. So this is a long haul, so welcome to the family. Now, why are we doing Haiti Tech Summit? Do you guys know why you're here? We're gonna catapult Haiti to the forward, right? We're gonna change how people see Haiti, right? Can we do it? Can we do it, guys? All right. Now, Haiti Tech Summit was founded on the premise that Haiti can truly be a place of tech and innovation. This year, we highly localized the agenda to showcase the fact that it's not only internationals coming in to make this an international hub. We need to make sure that the local experts are being seen as well. So we have a lot of very amazing local partners, local speakers, local experts who are doing amazing things. Shout out to the local partners who made this a reality, from the media team, our sponsors, our speakers. The showcase, we have it here too. Our vendors, everyone who is local here. You probably have heard this before. Last year, we had over 83 million social media impressions, right? And that really changed how people saw Haiti in those images. We're gonna do it again. Welcome, guys. Thank you so much.
Proud. The government is very proud. Haiti is proud to have someone like Christine, because they always say that there's always a gap between the diaspora and Haiti. And now Haiti Tech is a proof that everything is possible.
I think it's our duties for us to go back to the communities, go to Haiti, share our insights, share our love, share what we know from the United States, and apply it to the government system, education system, banking system, entrepreneur system, what they're doing with Bunch. I feel like this event right here, all this, keep the traction, keep the conversation going so we can empower our fellow Haitians back home.
There's 2 million Haitians living abroad as we speak. That network, the potential that lies in our ability to tell the story of Haitian Americans, French Americans, Chilean Americans is endless.
So me in Miami, what I see is a change in the community from being a consumer to leading the conversation. For example, I don't know if you guys know, we have 10 schools of higher learning in Miami, owned by Haitians, offering nursing programs, computer science programs, and those are the conversations you don't know, because before, when we go to the United States, we go to school. We don't have a Haitian-owned school. We have 10 now.
Hello, everyone. Good morning and welcome to the June edition of the Haiti Tech Summit Stakeholder Dialogues. It's my pleasure to welcome you once again to this iconic program and discussion for this month. Exciting lineup coming up next year shortly. I would just like to welcome you to this edition of this discussion, which is dubbed Haiti Resets, the role of diaspora in Haiti's future. This is hosted by the Haiti Tech Summit under the auspices of Christine team. Mr. Noted, the ecosystem development lead at the Global Startup Ecosystem, and I'll be your moderator for today's discussion. We are exploring how the Haitian diaspora can play a transformative role in the country's future, from storytelling and investment to long-term systems change. And joining me for this discussion, we have Regine Theodat, an consultant and also a strategist, a builder, an advocate with deep roots in Haiti's development and culture. I'm excited to welcome here to the stage today for this important discussion for this month. We're meant to have Lawrence, but he's been unable to join us, and we'll see if he's able to come later or reschedule him for a subsequent month. But it's my pleasure to welcome Regine Theodat from Another Consultants to the stage today to join us for the Haiti Tech Summit Stakeholder Dialogues. Welcome, Regine. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm really excited for our conversation today. I'm sorry to see that our colleague isn't able to join us, but looking forward to talking.
Great. Okay, so we'll kick right off with the discussion, and I would like to for opening this, why don't you I know I did a little bit of introduction, but why don't you
Yeah.
tell us who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so my name is Regine Theodat. It's funny, whenever I get invited to these and it's about diaspora, I always have to remind myself that I am now again diaspora. As I said, my name is Regine Theodat. I'm a lawyer by training, but I didn't practice traditional law for very long. I moved back to Haiti in 2010, shortly after the earthquake, and I thought I would live there forever. I never thought I would be back in the US. And so when you sent the note and you were like, oh, it's a diaspora, and I was like, oh yes, I am in fact diaspora. And so when I was in Haiti, I did a mix of different things, using some legal skills, but also developing a lot of strategy. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've now started 4 businesses. Agriculture is one of my biggest passions for development in Haiti. I worked as a executive director for a small nonprofit. I also worked as a country manager for a tech communication organization. So I have a variety of experiences, and I like to call myself a Haiti optimist, in that I always feel like Haiti will rise. And lately, I feel like it will definitely happen in my lifetime.
Great. And thank you once again for joining us today with your thought leadership. Um, let's start with an honest look at where Haiti is today. Candidly, how do you assess Haiti's current situation um, from the outside looking in, and what gives you hope amid all these challenges that we see here?
Yes, and that question is always such an interesting one, right? Because we are experiencing such an unprecedented. I mean, I don't want to say unprecedented because we've seen cycles of this shift, particularly in the capital. And I understand that this is one of the moments where it feels very hopeless. When I was still living in Haiti, for background, I moved back to the US almost 2 years ago. And so I lived through quite a bit of like the beginnings of what was happening now, but obviously not what we have now. I was in Guadalupe, and so that was already worse off than a lot of parts of the other parts of the capital. And so clearly, obviously, there is massive crisis. We have, a majority controlled capital that's controlled by gangs. And I know we have this narrative that not narrative, like we like to make the distinctions between the capital and the rest of Haiti. I think this is one of the distinctions that I'm less comfortable with, because the reality is that whatever happens in the capital impacts all of Haiti. as most of us know. And for those who don't know, just to give like an idea, when I first moved to Haiti and I wanted to copy the keys to my house, and I was in the Central Plateau at the time, I had to go down to the capital to be able to get my key copied. And so I don't think people realize in many ways how centralized Haiti is. And what impacts the capital will impact everywhere else. It's just now that we're starting to have systems outside of the capital, like even governmental systems, like being able to get your birth certificate, being able to, get different kinds of archives, even like an airport. These things are relatively new, or even like ports. And so we do make these distinctions about what's happening in the capital, but the reality is, a fourth of the population, 4 million people used to live there. I don't know now what the updated numbers are. And so what is happening in the capital is quite central to all of Haiti. And that impact affects everywhere. And so I don't want to minimize what that is. That is an incredible amount of difficulty to overcome, even as resourceful and as powerful that I feel the countryside of Haiti is. And so clearly that is like the major pinpoint of crisis. But what is really incredible is the ability for Haitians to reiterate. And I think that's something that we always say. And it's something that I certainly, as a Haitian person, I'm sure many people tuning in, we're very tired of. We're very tired of how, resilient we are. We have this word like, the femme sipotomita. It just feels hard for people to consistently have to be able to iterate in such difficult conditions. But every day, I am amazed by the ability for Haitians to iterate in such difficult conditions. And so while I will absolutely say Haiti is in a major crisis, there's a vacuum of leadership that consistently gets worse. However, Haitians are doing so much already. Just a couple weeks ago, I was at a conference, the Boston Haiti Funders Conference, and I learned something about something that I had worked on for years in Haiti, which is to source Haitian, like feeding programs for schools locally. And I had worked with one of the institutions that was part of the presentation years ago. And if you had said to me like 8-9 years ago, Eugene, one day these programs are going to source 100% of their food from Haiti, I would have told you I would have been in total disbelief, because the bureaucracy that was involved in how feeding programs function and how they look for the lowest cost and how they try to import things and how they really undercut the local market. It was so entrenched in all this bureaucracy and how the aid development sector works that I just couldn't imagine. It was something that I advocated for, and I knew Haitians could do it. I knew Haitian farmers could do it. But I always thought the other side was so impossible. But now in 2025, I learned of tens of thousands of kids being fed 100% locally in these feeding programs. And so you see that kind of movement despite all of that's going on. And despite this, it's because people are becoming innovative. It's forcing us to look outside of the capital, and it's forcing us to create ecosystems that are just as strong as the capital, which is a good thing. Obviously, it doesn't negate the problems of the capital, but I think at least it created like the very silver lining. If you can even find a silver lining in this, it's how strong these smaller ecosystems have become.
Great. And that's like a good way to break it down. I love how you break it down in comparing it, and also that's one thing that I think people tend to shy away of, like not try to acknowledge that things are centralized within the capital as well. So things, you have that struggle the way you always have to move to the capital. So anything that affects the capital affects everywhere else. So that's a unique look at it. I'm sure others do it, but they don't tend to acknowledge it as much. Yeah, but great, thank you for sharing that as well. You bring a unique diaspora experience. I want us to now explore how that has shaped your view of Haiti's potential. How has your journey in the diaspora influenced your perspective on Haiti's future?
Yeah. So let me give a context of like how I'm a diaspora. So I was born and raised in the US, and I moved back to Haiti after law school in my mid-20s. And then I moved back to the US 2 years ago. And so I spent 12 years full-time in Haiti, and then 2 years between the Dominican Republic and Haiti before I moved back here. And so most of my life, I've been a diaspora. But the diaspora I was before I lived in Haiti and the one that I was after I lived in Haiti are two very different people. And also the context of the diaspora now in the US is so different. So I live right outside of Boston, Massachusetts. And Massachusetts is one of the hubs that has received quite a bit of the Haitian migrants that have come across the border. Politically, it was like a pawn to send people to the states that were more liberal. And so, of course, we end up in the middle of all the politicizing that's going on. But what's essential is that Massachusetts landscape has completely shifted. And we have a lot of governance in this state that is more accepting than other states and more accommodating than other states. And so because of that, we have this whole new diaspora group. They've come from Chile, they've come from Argentina, they've come from Mexico, they come from Brazil, they come from Suriname. And so it's a different diaspora than I grew up with because it's a Hispanophone diaspora. And so a lot of the children are fluent in Spanish. Spanish is their first language, Creole is their second, and now English is their third. Culturally, they have a lot of mix of, they have the Haitian from their parents, but they sometimes they're one parent is from another South American country or whatnot. And so I do quite a bit of community work now in these communities. And so my diaspora experience has been shaped by this new diaspora that's so colorfully different than the diaspora that I grew up with, because the diaspora I grew up with was, your parents came from Haiti, you were born here, or you came here when you were young, you had a Haitian American experience. Haitian U.S. American experience, and these people have like a Haitian America's experience, and because it's the entire globality, and that has really shifted my perspective because I've seen how Haitians are so iterative and so determined in so many different sectors. And I was joking the other day that I actually think my Creole got better from being in the U.S. Because I'm interacting with all these different groups, and I'm having to learn how to say new things that I didn't have to communicate when I was in Haiti. And so all that to say that this experience as a diaspora in this iteration has proven to me on so many different ways how capable Haitian people are. And our biggest goal as a diaspora really has to be to remove the blockades, because Haitian people are capable. And so if we have the privilege of being able to circulate in these spaces here where some of the blockages come from, it is our duty to to start to figure out strategies to remove those blockages so that Haiti can prosper.
Great. And just a follow up to that. I'm sure you alluded to this earlier. You spent some time in Haiti, and during that time, you led change at both grassroots and system levels. All right. And what has that experience taught you about what Haiti really needs from its diaspora beyond the
Yeah.
capital and or connections?
Yeah, that's a great question. And definitely, I'm happy that you put beyond capital, because it's not just money. Like if money was going to solve the problems in Haiti, we would have solved them, because Haiti has money flowing in and out of it all the time, excessive amounts of money. And so something that I learned, and it took me longer than I think it should have, something about growing up in the US is you have a very systematic way of seeing things. It's through the education system, through how you're growing up. It's a very binary culture. And so I definitely internalized a lot of that. And so I brought that to Haiti. And so it took me a very long time to notice this and to understand this, because I really wanted every square peg to fit into every square hole. And that just doesn't work in Haiti. But something that I did realize after a while, after like an embarrassing number of years that it shouldn't have taken me so long to have figured out, is that there's such an incredible amount of talent and such an incredible amount of ability to do things, that what Haitian people really need is to stop creating blockages from their success. That those blockages look like what comes from our own governance. Those blockages look like what comes from our own system of aid development. Those blockages look like what happens internally with all this like constant disruption. And so I think as diaspora, what we really should be thinking about, because not all of us are going to be able to go back to Haiti and actually physically implement things. And I don't think we all should be. I'm certain some of us with very specific skills that would be useful in Haiti. But I do think for the most part, what I saw in Haiti is that the skills were already there. And what people needed was the ability to execute those skills. And so from the diaspora, what I would love to see more of is us being advocates at the state level in the US about how the US intervenes in Haiti. And if you're in Canada, the same thing. If you're in Europe, the same thing, because we have these core groups that do quite a bit of interference and providing their own opinion of what should go on in Haiti. And unfortunately, even if it's well intentioned, it will always be colored by what is in the best advantage of the person doing the intervention. And so it's really important for us as a diaspora to be politically involved. And I think one of the biggest constraints of the diaspora is because so many of us have ended up in the diaspora because of politics, and we associate it so negatively that we're like, ah, m'ba nan politique encore, famille m'ba nan politique, m'ba pal fè politique, politique sale. And that's the oppressor winning, because now you are not going to use the tools at your disposal because you believe that it's sale or it's not something that you should be engaging in. And the reality is we should be running towards that and cultivating our power so that we can actually, as a community, advocate for what our community needs, like so many other communities do in the US.
Great, great. That's interesting. And yeah, there are lots of such groups there. So I feel like there's more to be done in terms of advocacy and being heard or making an impact there, and appealing to the government, like you said, in terms of what they can do towards helping Haiti as well. So that's great that you mentioned that as well. Now, you've often worked at the intersection of heritage and innovation, and I want to find out how the diaspora can support narrative change. I think you've mentioned a little bit of that already, but how they can support narrative change and cultural preservation in Haiti in an empowering way.
Yeah, absolutely. That's such a great question. And I think every diaspora person is an agent of narrative change. You exist outside of Haiti, you are the representation of Haiti. How you portray Haiti is how people are going to understand it based off of how you say it. And so every interaction is an opportunity for narrative change. I think one of our bigger blockages of narrative change as a diaspora is that we have so much disruption that I think we lose a little bit of our culture because of this consistent disruption. So I encourage people in the diaspora to always learn the culture, study the culture. I mean, there are actually people studying Haitian culture and like anthropology, and in some ways they start to know our culture more than us. Especially as we like lose language or we lose connections to Haiti because of migration or things outside of our control. Life is hard, life is busy, and so things get in the wayside. But things like folk tales and folklore and music and food, these are things that you can study. You can study them and you can consume them. And if you study and consume them, you become a better change agent. But every opportunity, and I think Haitian people are actually very good at this. Like Haitian diaspora are so good at talking about Haiti and talking about being proud of being Haitian and participating in cultural activities. What I think sometimes it's missing is the full context and full tools. And so I encourage people, something I started doing since being back in the US is mapping out my family tree, speaking with elders. Some things, when they're lost, they really are lost forever. And so I encourage people to, get your family tree down, learn your family while these archives still exist. We constantly hear about archives in Haiti being controlled by gangs or like a flood or something. So while they still exist, tap into your family and start to figure out where your roots are. There are ample online archives, especially from France, because our ancestors were a unit of measurement, and so they were units, and so they categorize them as such, and they have records in them, and it's a really great opportunity for us to find out our family lineage, our family stories. And nowadays it's so easy to be your own archivist. Take the stories down, record your family members, put them on a backup hard drive, put them on a cloud. And it's such a great experience, especially if you are a parent or want to be a parent someday. You're creating a backdrop of like source of power for your descendants.
Yeah, and I think that's because it's really important to know your roots, especially if you want to be a parent, so that there's something you can pass on to your kids, so it's not lost um,
Yeah.
along the way. So once you as a parent or you as a first generation, you're able to then trace back and keep that
Yeah.
history there, then you can pass that on to your kids, and they will then pass that on to their kids as well. So
Exactly.
that's really great as well. So in terms of your work with entrepreneurs and communities, where do you see the most urgent gaps that diaspora professionals or mission aligned capital could meaningfully fill those gaps?
Yeah. The biggest gap I see consistently in the work that I do, and whether it be in entrepreneurship, whether it be in community development, whether it be in like, when I've my portfolio is very diverse because my interests are very diverse and they reflect, you know, um, where I have been in my career. There's a big, huge gap in connective tissue, and I think it's something that Haiti Tech Summit too tries to tackle. But there are so many synergies that we miss by not working together. And I think we miss a lot of points where things connect. And so I wholeheartedly think culture preservation is attached to technology. I wholeheartedly think technology is attached to agribusiness. I wholeheartedly think agribusiness is attached to healthcare. I think all of these systems work together. And so that synergy is what's missing. And we have a lot of conferences, but there is some sort of like hiccup we have in trying to meld those synergies stronger. And I think if we're able to get that connective tissue in a stronger way, our diaspora force would be so much stronger. And also in Haiti, we would be so much stronger.
Good. Yeah, I think it's important that the synergy is there, because otherwise it will be not a combined effort. People are doing things separately, and then you don't see too much of a progress there, because then there's no synergy there. So it looks like it's
Yeah, exactly.
a little bit here, a little bit there. So I do see the that
Yeah,
synergy gap there. Thank you
yeah.
for bringing that up as well. Um, in terms of like, we often hear about diaspora engagement, but it's not always
Mhm.
clear what that should look like.
Yeah.
I want to take your view on this. In your view, what does effective or responsible long-term diaspora engagement actually look like, or what is the ideal one in practice?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's a hard question. I One of my clients, my consulting clients, hired me to do a individual giving plan based off of the Haitian diaspora. And so I actually have done like 5 months of research on the diaspora, not just in the U.S. but mostly the U.S. Like U.S., Canada, France were like the three main places, but then also some parts of the Caribbean and some parts of South America. And engagement is really challenging because everybody is living life. Not only are we living life, even in the U.S. especially, we as a diaspora, our community is under attack, and so people have varying levels of capacity to engage. But the consistent across every group that we interviewed, either through focus groups or through surveys or through individual interviews, every single person at 100% wanted to participate. And so diaspora engagement is there. The diaspora are engaged. Our diaspora are not disengaged. Haitian diaspora are incredibly engaged. What some Haitian diaspora need is a place to channel that engagement. And that's the work of the people who need the engaged diaspora, like to be able to reach out and provide funnels to be able to capture this engagement. And I completely hear the skepticism. I'm sure people already there's like skepticism, like, oh, but there's like a lack of trust, and like, we ne pas travailler bien ensemble. And these are all the things that we are told over and over again about ourselves. I think because we're told over and over again about ourselves, we start to give them a little too much credit. And I've never worked in any capacity where distrust and lack of working together has not been a problem. It's not unique to the Haitian community. We just somehow have created this like idea in our head that it's significantly worse. It's not. It's simply, that's what it is to be human in this iteration of society, is that we have a lot of things that create distrust among us. But one of the things that we learned from this diaspora engagement, these diaspora engagement surveys and these reach out sessions, is that you can actually localize the trust to 7 different components. And in those 7 different components, there are ways to be able to concretely create mechanisms and messaging that assuage that lack of trust. And so I don't think we have an engagement problem. I think we have a harvesting the engagement problem.
Okay, great. And do you have any message to any young Haitian professionals in the diaspora who want to reconnect but feel they may be a little unsure of how to contribute?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. And I think the inability to know how to contribute is it's like on the fault of the people who want the contribution. There needs to be a concerted effort placed on them to reach out and engage the people who want to be engaged, because they're not hiding. Like, the Haitian diaspora are not hiding their want for engagement. And so to any Haitian person who's young, or any Haitian person at all, because I interview people who are like who are older, even older than me, who wanted to be involved but didn't know how. There's like, a décalage, like a separation between people who were raised here or who have been here for decades and what's going on in Haiti. And, we hear from our parents or from our older generations all these, stories. The first place I would suggest to start is social media is like so full of people who are advocating and teaching history about Haiti. And I think the best place to start to like satisfy your engagement is to start to learn Haiti. And that way you'll learn where your engagement is most needed. And so I would say, start following social media pages, if you're on social media, of people who are very active. There's like, Dr. Bertrand Albert, and there's other organizations that are like on the ground, like Focal, Foncose, Action Aid Haiti, Hope for Haiti. There's all these organizations that share a lot about what they're doing. And even if you're not ready to, donate your time or donate your money, you can at least start to learn about them. And when you learn about them, then you can start to understand where you would be most useful. Maybe you just decide, I'm just going to give money to these organizations. I don't want to be completely involved. Or you might learn that you want to get involved, or you want to connect. Another good organization is Haiti Community Trust, who was actually actively asking diaspora if they would like to engage, to reach out and see which ways they can engage. And so there are so many opportunities to just learn, just learn. And I think there's no harm in that, especially if you're new to something, to just learn what it's about. And then secondarily, I'm very much a proponent of learning our true history. I think it's great that we love 1804. I think it's so amazing that January 1st, not. I love like 18 May, everyone's wearing bleu rouge, but we need to learn the actual nitty gritty of our history. And there are so many books, very accessible books, that do that. Even things that are designed for children are good places to start. And just learning, like, what did the Haitian Revolution look like? Did you know that it took, almost 13 years? Did you know that, the Bakaima ceremony was actually a strategy session? Do you know what came out of that strategy session? Do you know about the women that were present in that session? Do you know about the political parties and the different kind of parties that we've had over the years? Do you know about, not just like the independence debt to France, but do you know about the relationship of the Catholic Church in Haiti? Do you know the components of our history that are outside of the ones that are most accessible? And do you know them in depth? And that is going to give you a lot of perspective when you think about Haiti. Because when you have perspective, when you think about Haiti, you see Haiti so differently.
Okay, great. I want us to wrap this up, and before I let you go, in giving your final words, you could give advice to any Haitian, both in and in the diaspora, that's losing hope, that's losing hope. Do you have any word of advice to them, and also then give us your final words or key takeaways?
Yeah. I know it's really, I don't fault people for losing hope. I really don't. I don't at all. It's hard. It's hard to see Haiti this way. And it's hard to see the way we are being talked about. It's hard to see the way our people are being treated in migration. It's hard to see so many people migrating. I remember when I lived in Haiti, and there would be, lines around the airport of, young 19, 20, 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds leaving the country because the country did not have something to offer them. And so I get it. And I never fault people for losing hope. I know people have different perspectives, but I totally get that. But I want to say, as somebody I consider myself a type A++++. And I'm such a type A++ that living in Haiti did not change that. And I have a very regimented way of seeing things that obviously I've created some flexibility because I was an entrepreneur in Haiti. But I'm also very, very practical, and I'm also very realistic. If something is not good, mabdili babo. I want people to know that as somebody who has that kind of background, who is engaged heavily in Haiti, I have never for 1 nanosecond lost hope. Not for 1 nanosecond. I have never seen something in front of me that has made me say, there is no way Haiti can rise. And to give more context, we left Haiti because my husband was shot, and we had to leave Haiti within a week because he was targeted as an attack. I have never lost hope in Haiti. And so I want you to know that somebody who has had my experience and who sees things the way that I view them, I've never lost hope. And if that's enough for you to carry your hope, and if you don't have hope now, it's okay. You can borrow some of mine, and then when you're ready to have hope again, we'll all come back together, and that's just how it works. And so my parting words: learn your history, not just Haitian history in general. Learn about the region. Our like the Caribbean is family. Learn about Caribbean history and learn your particular history. Learn your family's history while you still can, from the elders that are around, because their stories are so good. And if you are, what is not privilege, blessed enough to still have your relatives, older relatives around, please tap them for information. And thirdly, just learn casually about Haiti if you need to. Just learn, from the organizations working on the ground, follow individuals that live in Haiti, and just let your curiosity be your guide. And fourth, something I didn't mention, but I have to say it, and anybody who knows me knows that this is a point that I always circle back to. It's something that I feel like has helped me a lot. I don't think we recognize how much anti-Blackness has informed the way we feel about ourselves and the way we feel about our country. And every day I realize another little nook and cranny of anti-Blackness that is informing how I view something. And I think it's really important for us to be very clear that that exists, and that even if we're the first Black Republic, we are still viewed a certain way. And even though we largely have racial issues that are different from how they appear in other societal contexts, they still exist. And so I would say something that has helped me the most is really to make a lot of sense of that. And I do that by learning, Black feminist theory or just Black history theory, or just, there's so many people that have written about this who have been writing about it for decades. And, they're accessible. Just start learning about that and make yourself curious. The more curious you are, the better off it is for you and your ability to engage with this kind of work.
Great, great. Thank you so much. Just read a few comments from our audience. So someone,
Excellent.
Philippe says, yeah, for family history sites like familysearch.org are good websites based and stats as well. Type some names, narrow in on the region, and see various documents. So I think for those that want to find out more about their history, the familysearch.org is what Philip is suggesting. And Jean Mark is just saying, thank you for sharing your experience with us. And yeah, I do agree. It's been an amazing session, though brief, and I really wish Lawrence was here to make it more exciting. But it's been an amazing time with you. Thank you so much for sharing your powerful insights, your personal commitment to Haiti's future. And this conversation reminds us that while the challenges are real, so is the potential, especially when the diaspora steps up, not just with resources, but with strategy, humility, and with a sense of purpose to try.
Humility is a big one. That's hard.
Yes.
That's harder for us. And I think that's where I talk about anti-Blackness, because I don't think we realize when we are not giving somebody the credit that they're due for the expertise that they have because of where they're from. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And I like to ask my speakers this before I let them go. Describe Haiti in one word.
Describe Haiti in one word? Describe Haiti in one word.
Yes.
Is Bombagai one word? That's 2 words. But that's how I would say it. Yeah.
Yeah. But we'll take that too. Yeah.
Yeah. Haiti is Haiti. Haiti is not like nowhere else. Yeah.
Yes. All right.
How would you describe Haiti in one word?
It's been an amazing session with you. And I would say resilient, because
resilient.
From speaking to a lot of speakers over there. Yes. That's what I take away from what you said today. I get that resilient part, even from your journey as well. You showed how resilient you are in terms of not giving up, and I see that in that trait in a lot of speakers that come here and those that influence things in Haiti. That resilience is there. So that's the word that I usually think of when I think about Haiti.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, well, thank you so much for
So we
having me.
wrap it up here today. Sure. Thank you so much, Regine, for this amazing session. You're the principal at Anana Consultant. But before you go, you could tell me, is there any updates from Anana Consultants that you'd like to share with the public?
Any updates?
Yes, anything you'd like to
Uh,
share about yeah.
Yeah, any updates? So Anana Consultants is a consulting firm that I started. It's funny, it's named Anana because for those who don't speak Creole, but I think most people who are connected will. Anana means pineapple, and I named it that because I learned the hard way planting a few thousand pineapples that in optimal conditions, pineapples can take like 12 to 18 months to grow. And in inoptimal conditions, they can take years to grow. And so we had inoptimal conditions and our pineapples took like 3.5 years to grow. And in that 3.5 years, they're like, anana, well, what? So they were like this big. Like I've never seen pineapples so like unimpressive. And so the goal of this consulting firm is we take all of these years of experience that we've had, especially implementing in Haiti and making your anana, which is your project or whatever it is that you're working on, grow in optimal conditions. And I'm always accepting more clients. Most of my clients are, well, I would say like this point, my portfolio is half and half Haiti-based clients and half outside. We have a nonprofit and for-profit mix. My only thing is that I'm significantly better with organizations that are mission-driven and impact-focused. And so, I'd be hard pressed to have like a very corporate client. But we do, fundraising strategy, we do operational strategy, we do communication strategy, we do some political organizing and some political strategy and community development as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. And
Yeah, thank you as
hopefully
well.
we'll connect in the future and talk
Yeah,
more about Haiti on another platform as well. Thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate your time and your
all right.
leadership.
Thank you as well.
All right.
All right.
So, the audience, it's been an amazing discussion. I'm sure you agree with me. I see a comment here from Philippe. He says, "Bouillon, it's okay." So you're describing a bouillon. It's a soup of many ingredients and full of history and emotion, conjuring flavors. Okay, so that's your description of Haiti. That's nice as well. But thank you so much for joining us today. And as usual, we see your comments and we try to engage them as well. If you do have any questions whilst we are on the discussion, you could send them in and then we'll address them as well, throw them to the speakers as well. So if you didn't get any question, but I got a lot of great comments. So thank you so much for engaging as well. We'll have the next session on July 30th. So we look forward to that. We'll announce the speakers that are coming on for July. We'll try and get Lawrence back. Lawrence on a subsequent session as well, as he was unable to join us today. So we look forward to that session, for the announcements on Facebook and then on LinkedIn for the next session in July. I'd like to say thank you to our speaker, Rachel, once again for her leadership and her time, for engaging us with a fruitful discussion. And it's quite an amazing. It was a lot to learn and take away from her as well. So thank you all so much. And hopefully we'll meet next month as well for the next session of the Haiti Tech Summit Stakeholder Dialogues. Thank you all so much.